So those words frequently come out of UFC commentators early in fights featuring 35-year-old 1.93 meter, about 6 feet 4 inches Cameroonian, Francis Ngannou. Francis is the heavyweight champion of the UFC. Like Iron Mike Tyson, he got there by decapitating almost all his opponents. On the 22nd of January 2022, Francis will, for the very first time, attempt to defend his heavyweight championship against Afro-French contender Cyril Gane. So Francis is alleged to have the heaviest recorded punch in the world. Cyril Gane is one of the most technically gifted MMA fighters in the world. Both of them used to be teammates when Francis was in France before he moved to the USA. So this promises to be a very exciting showdown indeed. A lot of MMA fans are looking forward to this fight. I am looking forward to this fight. I urge you to not miss this fight, whether you're a new fan or you're a fan considering entering into the sport of the UFC, whatever you may be. This fight is a must not miss fight. Okay, now I mean, just imagine something like Michael Spinks versus Mike Tyson, or Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield, or even Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. This is that kind of fight. Now attempting to overshadow this imminent showdown, though, is the issue with Francis' contract with the UFC. So this fight will be the last of his current contract, and he has demanded that a certain clause be included in his new contract, which will enable him, albeit temporarily, cross into boxing to fight the likes of Tyson Fury and possibly Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, or whoever is the heavyweight champion when the time comes. I think this will be very good for both sports, boxing and MMA. I mean, imagine Francis going into boxing and knocking out Tyson Fury. That would be some story, wouldn't it? But I've heard a lot of UFC commentators, UFC reporters, MMA YouTubers go after Francis, saying that there's no point he venturing into boxing, that he may even be delusional, that he's just going to go there and get embarrassed, that he's not conditioned for 12 rounds, which is customary in boxing. And very quickly references to Floyd Mayweather's embarrassment of Conor McGregor a few years ago erupts as an example. The UFC also somewhat seems to be leaning in the same direction, but I beg to differ. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Before I do so, I'd like to welcome you to the second episode of Ija Corner. Ija is the Yoruba word for fight, so basically this just means fight corner. I want you to please subscribe and click the bell button, and then here we go. So on the 11th of February in 1990, just about 9 days after his 17th birthday, Ikemefula Ibeabuchi, a young man dreaming of joining the Nigerian military, joined the rest of the boxing world to witness the crumble of Iron Mike Tyson to the Herculean assault of James Buster Douglas. Somehow this shocking event in boxing motivated Ikemefula, also popularly known as Ike, to start a career in boxing. So almost at the age of 20, Ike started training to be a boxer. Now, in boxing world, this is particularly considered coming late to the party. The likes of Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, even Tyson Fury started boxing about the ages of 10 all the way to 12. So Ike wasn't given much of a chance. But what happened? Uh, Ike shocked the entire boxing world. He went on to notch a record of 20 wins, 0 losses, with 15 KOs. That's a 75% knockout rate. He even won the heavyweight international WBC International Heavyweight Championship of the World by beating David Tua, one of the top contenders of the day. He also defeated Chris Bird, who eventually became a champion himself, by knocking him out devastatingly in the fifth round of their fight. Unfortunately for Ike, his career was truncated by problems outside the ring, which eventually led him to jail. So Francis was also very late to MMA, just like Ike was late to boxing. And because of his muscular build, was unexpected to have the endurance required to succeed in combat sports. Okay, but similar to Ike, who also had a similar build, Ike succeeded in his day, went 12 rounds with David Tua, won him by unanimous decision, became the WBC International Heavyweight Champion. Francis also has gone 5 rounds, which is the maximum in MMA, several times. Well, maybe not several times, but he's gone 5 rounds and is proven a lot of naysayers wrong. Just like Ike Ibiabuchi proved a lot of naysayers wrong back in the day. Okay, so another thing a lot of these commentators may be ignoring or maybe have forgotten is that it's the power of desire that burns fiercely within Francis. So you see, Francis was always wanted to be a boxer, but circumstances led him into MMA, and that was how the story of his MMA career began. So this is a burning desire, and somebody coming from where he's coming from, never underestimate the kind of the power of that desire and what it can fuel him to do. So Francis is 35 years old. Tyson Fury is 33. Fury wants this fight to happen. Francis wants this fight to happen. Both are in their peak. Both are at the peak of their careers. I believe this is the time for this fight to happen, not when both of them or one of them is on the decline. So, Dada, if you're watching this, I strongly urge you to consider Francis's demands. Let this fight happen. You know, it would be a plus for not just the UFC but also for boxing. I suspect that I believe that this would bring a lot of new fans to both sports and allow fans of each sport to understand the other sports, and it's generally good for the entire combat sports industry. Dana, again, if you're watching this, think about this. I believe you should sign this contract to favor Francis' demands and let this fight happen for the benefits of the combat sport industry. So thank you very much for watching. Until the next episode of Ija Corner, adios.